Good afternoon. Welcome to City Council meeting. Today is Monday, May 20th, 2024. It's approximately 1 p.m. I'm Mayor Enriquez. Before we start, I want to mention that we do have an ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, available for every regular council meeting, and she will be at the front for anyone who requires interpretation. We will start with a moment of silence for the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and also for the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police and Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7. Councilor Graham, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go ahead and start with the presentations of Certificate of Appreciation and Proclamations. Councilor Gray.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon. Our first proclamation is for National Police Week. Detective Kenneth Davis, or anyone else who would care to join in. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Whereas 137 law enforcement officers in the United States lost their lives in the line of duty last year, and preliminary reports as of May 7th, 2024, indicate that an additional 56 law enforcement officers throughout the United States have already lost their lives in the line of duty this year. And whereas Las Cruces police officers play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of the city of Las Cruces police officers unwaveringly serve all people, safeguarding lives and property, protecting our community against violence and disorder, the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression and intimidation. And whereas, since the first recorded death of a law enforcement officer in 1786, more than 23,977 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through 18th, 2024 as National Police Week, and May 15th, 2024 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in Las Cruces, in memory and honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice or become permanently disabled during the performance of their duty. Signed by our Mayor, Eric Enriquez, and our City Clerk, Christine Rivera.
Just on behalf of the Las Cruces Police Department, all of the Officers Association, I'd just like to thank for the support that we've received this year and also in the past, and hopefully to continue moving forward with tons of support from our community. And we enjoy serving you, and we do our best we can every day.
Okay, next up, National Public Works Week. So the names I have here, just a fraction: David Cedillo, Adrian Widmer, and Vanessa King. And anyone else who wants to come on up? Tony Trevino, getting the call. Yes, I want to swap. Okay, let me make sure. Hey. Oh. Okay, if you're not involved with Public Works, just raise your hand. Just kidding. Okay. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Las Cruces. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, and who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Las Cruces to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2024 marks the 64th annual Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association, now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City of Las Cruces, Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week, and urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Signed by our Mayor, Eric Enriquez, and our City Clerk, Christine Rivera. I only have 3 plaques, so I don't know if this is like cage match or.
Facilities.
Okay.
Facilities.
Can I have everybody this way? Okay, perfect. You're shorter in the front. That's always my fault. But I want you guys to have a chance to say something.
Yeah.
Mayor, Council, Adrienne Widmer, Utilities Director, and thank you very much for recognizing the Utilities Department takes great pride in trying to provide you all with water, wastewater, natural gas, and solid waste services. And we try to do that in an efficient and cost-effective manner, and we hope to continue to provide you service going through the future, and we hope that you are pleased with the service that we provide. Thank you very much.
Mayor and Council, thank you for the proclamation, and also to the residents of Las Cruces. I also want to recognize the many talented women and men that do this work every day. in facilities management, Las Cruces Utilities Department, and Public Works. I want to thank them for their dedication and service to providing these things day in and day out. These services may from time go unnoticed, but they are done with cariño every single day. So please help me again with a round of applause for our staff that provide these services, because we're also part of the community as well. Thank you.
And I think, Adrian, you can stay, yeah, you're yet another. Running out of hands. Our next is Proclamation for Building Safety Month. So Adrian Widmer joining me again. Larry Nichols. I don't see Chief Smith, but oh, cool. You're not Chief Smith, but that's okay. Chief Story and Vanessa King.
Councilor Graham. Go ahead and say facilities, Anthony, Tony, you guys, Vanessa, you all want to come down as well?
Yeah, please do. Thank you. Whereas the City of Las Cruces' continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the building environment, which affect our citizens in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, assure us that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings is possible through the vigilance of building safety specialists, fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas dedicated members of the International Code Council bring together local, state, and federal experts in built environments to create and implement the highest quality codes which protect the public in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. And whereas, in keeping with the theme for Building Safety Month 2024, Mission Possible, New Mexicans are asked to raise awareness of the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, and new technology in the construction industry, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Building Safety Month. Signed by Mayor Eric Enriquez and City Clerk Christine Rivera.
Again, Mayor, City Council, thank you very much for this honor. We work really hard at trying to tell everybody about water conservation, and I want to thank all of you for actually participating in that. We have already surpassed our 2023 goal when it comes to gallons per capita per day, and that's all because of you. You all have provided us that wonderful number, and we're continuing to strive, and we just really appreciate you all doing your part to help us to conserve water along with energy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Larry Nicholas, Community Development Director, City Building Official as well. I want to thank Councilor Graham for reading the proclamation, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for the proclamation to recognize the Building Safety Month. The Building Safety Month is something that happens once a year, but the building inspections to assure that we have safe and sustainable structures happens every single day. And I want to thank all my staff, the building inspectors, the fire prevention inspectors, the facility maintenance staff for making our buildings safe and usable and efficient. And the citizens, you can rest assured that when you walk into one of the buildings that's been inspected, that building is safe for you to be in. Thank you very much.
And finally, we have a proclamation for Emergency Medical Services Week. DC Daniels and Kenny Lujan from AMR, or anyone else who would like to join. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week, now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024, as Emergency Medical Services Week, signed by our Mayor, Eric Enriquez, and our City Clerk, Christine Rivera.
Mayor Enriquez, City Council, thank you so much. AMR has been part of our community since 2007, and I've joined AMR in 2008, and it's been a pleasure serving Las Cruces and Doña Ana County since then. We continue to do our best to provide pre-hospital emergency services to you all, and we thank you for the opportunity to do that alongside the Las Cruces Fire Department and all of our other responders, such as Doña Ana County Fire, all the volunteer firefighters that serve in our county, the police department, and the citizens who have gone through first aid and CPR training. We appreciate you very much. Thank you.
You good?
Thank you, Councilor Graham. Next, we have the Jobs of the Week. Sarah Rainey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Sarah Rainey. I am the one-stop coordinator for the Workforce Connections Office for the Southwest region. And for Jobs of the Week for this week, we have a collection specialist for the city of Las Cruces. That position pays $21.10 an hour, or starts at $21.10 an hour. The posting closes on the 27th. We have a 911 call taker. That one's going to be listed because There's a dire need for 911 call takers. There's several positions open. If you guys are interested in that one, please reach out to us. That posting starts at $19.28 an hour, and the posting closes on the 30th. We also have for the White Sands Missile Range, we have a data collector at Tritium Corporation. That posting closes in August. We have a retail sales associate for Verizon on Main. That posting closes on the 9th of June. We also have for Action Towing, they have an office administrator. The position starts at $15 an hour. Posting closes on the 7th of June. We have a food service worker from Trinity Service Group for $13 an hour. And then I also wanted to include that this is the season that we have a ton of farm workers, laborers, crop, nursery, greenhouses, and multiple openings across our region, not just in Las Cruces, but throughout our county. For those type of positions, we encourage everyone to come in and speak with a career consultant so that they can refer you to those farms and ranches and individuals that are looking for workers. Also, upcoming events, we have a Career Essentials event. This one is May 28th, no cost employment services events. They actually occur all over our region. For Las Cruces, we have them usually twice a month. The other one already occurred earlier this month. So if you need more information, go on to employeenm.com/events for that. Another reminder that we're open until 6, everyone, just so in case you have a job, you work till 5, you can still come in after that 5 to 6 hour. Also, I just wanted to say, for anyone looking for employment, anyone looking to further employment, or looking to change your employment, we're there for all of that. We have a variety of programs that can help with all of it, and tons of employers that have partnered up with us throughout the area. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Next, we have Pets of the Week, Amy DeFelix.
Hello, everyone. Of course, my name is Amy DeFelix, one of the rescue coordinators with the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. And I always pick and present our Pets of the Week. And we always start out with our Cat of the Week. This week, his name is Chestnut. His number is 69367. And he says, I can be a wallflower, preferring my high perches and corners to watch everything from a comfy distance. I'm shy and reserved at first, but my weakness is neck scritches. If my future family is willing to give me the time and space to get comfortable on my own, and if they're willing to give me as many neck scritches as I want, my love will be theirs forever. And then, of course, we also have a Dog of the Week. This week, he is Buck. His number is 68562. And he says, I'm a very sweet boy, but I can get a little timid and shy in new situations. However, I am a playful and sociable pup when I'm in my element. I love treats and will take them very gently. I'd love a forever family to take me in and help me continue to build confidence so I can face new situations with ease. And then adoption events going on. We have offsite adoptions at Petco this Saturday, the 25th. We will be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we definitely encourage you all, if you're looking for a new pet, to stop by. We'll have some lovely adoptable dogs. And then I'd also like to mention we are having our next drive-through vaccination clinic coming up pretty soon, actually. It'll be Saturday, June 1st. We will be having it from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Field of Dreams parking lot. All of the distemper parvo for dogs and feline distemper for cats, those vaccines are free for everyone. They are sponsored by Petco Love. The first 50 microchips are going to be sponsored by McCoy's Building Supply, so that's also free to the pet owners. After that, it's only $10 for rabies vaccines, kennel cough vaccines, and every other microchips after the first 50. So we definitely encourage you all to come by. It is extremely affordable. We want to make it as affordable as possible so that more owners can get their pets vaccinated and microchipped. Of course, as a reminder, all dogs must be on a leash, and then cats must be in carriers, individual carriers, so each cat has their own carrier. We don't want them all cooped up in the same little carrier. But that is all I have. Oh, sorry, that is not all I have. We have our website links, our general website, ascmv.org, and of course, we're all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll post a lot about our adoptable pets and stuff going on, and then YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts is where we upload episodes of our Tales from the Pawside podcast as well. And that is all I have. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Amy. Next are conflict of interest. Does any member of City Council, City Manager, or any member of the city staff have any known conflict of interest with any item on the agenda?
None.
None.
Seeing none, we'll go to public participation. Allow up to 3 minutes of public participation and no pending litigation or items that are on non-consent. So I'll start on my left side, the second row. Anybody on the second row?
This way. Can you hear me? Mayor, councilors, city manager.
Sorry, sir, if you could state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get there. I'm greeting you first. Mayor, councilors, city manager, good afternoon. My name is Michael Hayes. I live in Las Cruces. I have some questions about a secret public safety select committee. I do not know if it still exists or has been renamed, repurposed, or terminated. I asked all of you many months ago, but have not received an answer. In refusing to reply to a citizen, is refusing to reply to a citizen courtesy, or to answer his questions transparency? What is the status of this committee? If it was terminated, when and why? If not, why not? The charter of this secret committee states that its purpose is, quote, to provide information and advice on city charter objectives, unquote, to City Council. My review of many IPRA records discloses none indicating that the committee has done so. If it has not been doing what it is chartered to do, what has it been doing instead? Has it been securing council's approval for policies, programs, or funding with a rolling quorum? The charter also states the term of the select committee shall not exceed 1 year or the amount of time necessary to complete the specific established goals and objectives of the committee. This secret committee has existed from late 2020 to at least early 2024. Its meetings have addressed, among other topics, cannabis, crime, domestic violence, homelessness, and excessive police force, topics suitable for public discussion. Without specific established goals and objectives, it cannot solve even a part of one of these problems in a year or in a reasonable period of time implied by the charter. This committee has thus violated its charter. Has it occurred to any of you to comply with this charter, that is, obey the law? Or has City Council outsourced its responsibilities to an unaccountable, illegitimate director to run the city by deciding important matters behind closed doors and then hiding those decisions from the public? Good afternoon.
Thank you. Anyone else on the second row? Third row? Fourth row?
Good morning. Name's Jim Hurst. I want to talk about separation of church and state. Based on the comments from last meeting, many of my fellow citizens have little knowledge or appreciation for the concept of separation of church and state. Some of my fellow citizens commented to this council that the United States should support Israel because of promises and blessings the God of the Bible made to Abraham. They believe the stories in Genesis are historical facts, no matter how unlikely they may be. They have no problem with Sarah giving birth to Isaac at the age of 100 years. They accept as historical facts the burning bush, the plagues of Egypt, the pillars of fire, the revelations to Moses, the conquests of Joshua, the strength of Samson, the sacrifice of Jephthah's daughter, Jonah and the great fish, and similar stories. Their faith tells them such stories are true. It is their faith. They have a right to their faith, no matter how unlikely it may seem. We call that religious freedom. But you, council members, do not have the right to base public policy and law on your faith. We call that separation of church and state. You must base law on reason and facts, not your religion. Not the teachings of your books of faith, not on religious traditions, not on the edicts of holy men. That is what is required by the principle of separation of church and state. The population of Las Cruces is overwhelmingly Christian, at least nominally, but many who live in Las Cruces subscribe to Islam. They believe different stories. They believe Muhammad flew on the back of a winged horse. That story is not any more unlikely than many of the stories in the Old Testament. They have the same claim and right to believe the stories and promises of the Quran that Christians have to believe the stories in the Bible. Again, we call that religious freedom. Equality under law requires freedoms given to one to be given to all. I realize that the question of support for Israel in its conflict with the Palestinians is no longer under consideration by this body. What also should not be under consideration is any compromise on the principle of separation of church and state. However you choose to act on any policy or ordinance must be grounded in reason, not religion. Fidelity to the federal and state constitutions demand no less. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the fourth row. Anyone in the fifth row? Sixth row?
Mayor, Council, Juan Garcia. Today, I want to speak about political hypocrisy. Some members of our council recently highlighted an article in the Bulletin where they had been the subject of verbal vitriolic attacks and threats of violence. This behavior shouldn't be tolerated and punished when appropriate and serves no purpose other than to incite possible violence, attacks against those individuals. The DA has also been subject of received threats. But what happens when our elected officials are the ones, through their words, promote aggression against innocent individuals or add to the national divide, or those same officials call for the dissolution of organizations who are sworn to serve and protect? What happens when public officials, through their distorted and biased comments, incite violence against law enforcement officers and their families? In 2021, Haitians crossing the border illegally were allegedly, quote, whipped by CBP. Our president stated, and I quote, "I promise you, those people will pay," those being Border Patrol agents, but he could not utter those words. And he continues, "There will be an investigation underway now, and there will be consequences. There will be consequences." This before all the facts were available. And as we all know, the allegations were false. No one was whipped. So let's continue memory lane to Las Cruces, where one of our counselors stated, and I quote, "Good morning. Woke up with an itch to abolish ICE, abolish la migra. Abolish ICE, abolish la migra." I am absolutely livid, and I continue with my quote, at the pictures of Border Patrol agents chasing down Haitian families on horseback. Border Patrol is a cruel, racist, and rooted in white supremacy. Abolish ICE, la migra, Spanish for reference to Border Patrol. What is the purpose of wanting to abolish ICE? So folks that are here illegally can't be deported? Or abolish la migra? Is that so the border can be unprotected? Why do we have a desire to normalize illegal activity? So we have a counselor using insightful comments, once again attempting to further racial division. There was wide condemnation by the council when citizens came to present their legitimate grievances against criminal activity. Yet when the pro-Palestine militants screamed and disrupted these chambers and verbally assaulted Councilor McClure, not one word was said. Political hypocrisy. Thank you.
Anyone else on the sixth row?
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, distinguished chiefs. My name's Eddie Thomas, and first of all, Mayor, let me commend you on removing the agenda item that was proclaiming a ceasefire in the Middle East in the last meeting. It was prudent and wise, given the divisive and possibly destructive and violent nature of the situation. The city council meetings are to discuss city matters that affect the citizens of Las Cruces, not wars on the other side of the world. You have enough to deal with here in our city, like crime, the homeless, drug addiction, and the mental health crisis that we're experiencing currently. With that said, let me begin by saying that the current business model to house the homeless is not sustainable in its current trajectory. You're building hotels for them, and their numbers continue to increase. What are your plans going forward as they fill up? Are we going to see tax increases as you build more hotels to house them? At what point does this stop? Are there any plans to stop? Are there any plans to rehabilitate them with drug abuse programs, counseling, part-time work opportunities, etc.? Let's save the ones that we can. The Imano program is a good start, but we need to build on that. Now let me switch to crime. I understand that we have a building delegation to go to Santa Fe and lobby on our behalf. Las Cruces seems to be the red-headed child that the governor and the legislature want to ignore. So my pitch to you is this: the senators don't listen to us. We email them and all we get is crickets. So the delegation that you're planning to form and send to Santa Fe is a good idea, so we can maybe affect something in the roundhouse. The last time that the senators paid any attention to us was when Matt Walsh, a conservative voice, spoke at NMSU. There was a letter written in condemnation, scolding the president of NMSU at that time. And some of you here on this council signed off on that letter. So that tells me a lot about where your minds are about the coming programs that will affect Las Cruces. I'd be real interested to know that when this delegation goes up north, what you're going to advocate for. Are you guys truly going to advocate for us, or are you going to side with the governor? I would like to know who's going and what the agenda items are. Will you advocate for
Sir,
laws?
your time is up. Thank you. I appreciate you. Anyone else on the sixth, seventh row? Eighth? Ninth row? Okay, moving to the right. Yeah, second row.
Good afternoon, Mr. City Manager, Mayor, and City Councilors. My name is Dolores Lucero. I would normally not come to you with this notice today, but because of all the conversation over crime and disruption in our city, my street was hit on April 23rd at 3:04 a.m. There are 24 houses on my dead-end street. I'm at the top of the street. And at 3:04 a.m., I'm sure I was not the last street that was being affected that night. I live a half a mile from the public safety building. That doesn't deter those that want to be thieves. On the cameras, of which I do not have, there was two very young men dressed in black checking cars on the street. Mine are safely in the garage. Broke a few windows, stole a few things, did a little damage to property. With a black truck, brand spanking new, driving along, keeping an eye on them so they can throw the merchandise into the back of the truck. and then take off. I don't normally want to complain about things that happen, but I want you to know it's not in one location in this city. It's not part of just district whatever. It is across this city, and I live in District 6. I'm very pleased with your choice as our chief of police, having served under 2 chiefs of police during my term on council. I can tell you that Chief Story is a thinker, he's a planner, and he's organized. And I feel comfortable and safe that he is leading this police force in this city. I ask you to please open your eyes. It's not just the poor. Person driving that truck, I guarantee you, either gave those 2 kids something, whatever it could be, money, drugs, anything, on a Tuesday morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I guarantee you, I was maybe the last street that night because they were probably tired by that time, but I was not the only street. So please, give our chief and his uniformed officers all the care that they need, not just in talk, but in action. And I thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Anyone else on the second row, my right?
Hello, sorry. Okay. Hello, my name is Monique Romero. I want to look at each and one of you, every single one of you specifically, and ask, how could you? Obviously, I'm here with Las Cruces for Palestine, and I'm here to represent the people of Palestine. How could you? While you get to go home to your family, to your children, to your car, anything that you own, how can you peacefully go about your day, knowing that there are innocent lives being murdered as we speak? Over 6 million people in the Gaza Strip has been displaced. Over 30,000 have been killed or badly wounded. How can you, knowing what's going on and understanding, how can you continue your day-to-day lives without being frustrated, without feeling empathy for these people? People. Let me say that again, people. How can you not see Palestinians as human beings? Do we need to go back and educate ourselves about equality? It's 2024, and why are we traveling to the past? I want to say that we do not agree with the actions of Hamas. You can say we're pro-Israel, or pro-Palestine, but we're not pro-Palestine. We're simply anti-war. And we are not complicit in this current genocide going on. So what I'm asking is for the city of Las Cruces, the council, to demand an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Specifically, Las Cruces has sent over $30,000 to fund this genocide. So there's no denying that Las Cruces isn't just as complicit. I want you to take a second, though, for these next 10 seconds and realize, how are you going to continue your day-to-day lives? Thank you.
Anyone else on the second row?
Mayor and City Council, my name is V. Quevedo, resident of District 1 and member of Las Cruces for Palestine. A lot of folks chose not to come today out of disgust for this council's conduct 2 weeks ago that denied even a conversation about genocide. But you gave genocide supporters a lot of time, so I thought you should maybe listen to some humanitarians too. Craig McIver, human rights lawyer and former UN official, has said there are 193 countries in the world. US politicians and media corporations say you can criticize 192 of them. And y'all proved that 2 weeks ago. There have been more humanitarian aid workers killed in Gaza than in all the wars in the world over the last 30 years combined. In just the first 4 months of this genocide, more children were killed in Gaza than in the past 4 years in all the wars in all the world combined. As of March 18th, Gaza's starvation rates were the worst ever recorded, according to Oxfam. In just the first 3 months of the genocide, more journalists were killed in Gaza than in the entirety of World War II and the Vietnam War. As of May 3rd, this became the deadliest war for journalists in all of history. In case anyone still cares about international law, let's talk a little bit about international law. Israel's occupation of the West Bank and Gaza means that according to human rights law, its actions are regulated by the 4 Geneva Conventions and Additional Protocol 1. The occupying power faces specific obligation in territories it occupies. Articles of the 4th Geneva Convention provide for civilian protections in all occupied regions, bans collective punishment, and bans forced displacement. Protocol 1 bans warfare that causes widespread, long-term, and severe damage, and weapons that cause unnecessary suffering, like the white phosphorus that the US provides. It bans indiscriminate attacks on civilian populations and destruction of food and water, bans weapons whose scope of destruction cannot be limited, like the 1-ton bombs that the US provides. It also defines warfare that does not distinguish between civilian and military targets as war crimes. Protocol 1 provides protections for women, children, medical personnel, and journalists, and bans attacks on places of worship. Do you not care about international law? We can talk about US law that we're breaking. The Leahy Law, the Foreign Assistance Act, the Arms Control Export Act, Conventional Arms Transfer Policy, National Security Memorandum 20, and as signatories to the Genocide Convention, we are violating the United States legal obligation. Apparently we have no moral obligation, but we do have a legal obligation to prevent genocide. There have been 3 court rulings, both national and international, that have found credible evidence that US-backed Israel is committing genocide. So please tell me why 2 weeks ago, 5 members of this body caved into the lies that have been used for 76 years to dehumanize Palestinian people. 5 votes for starving children, 5 votes for genocide. US weapons are being used to attack refugee camps, to murder families in tents right now. Anyone supporting what the US and Israel are doing, and anyone pretending neutrality is an option, have checked the morality at the door. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Elizabeth Bennett. I want to start by thanking Councilors Coran and Bencomo for their courage. For the rest of you, I have come to bring you some news. The US-funded Palestinian genocide didn't go away because you decided not to talk about it. On the contrary, we are in the darkest hour. The bodies are piling up in hospitals with no supplies, the living are cut off from water and food, and aid trucks are lit on fire outside of closed border crossings. Journalists and aid workers cannot enter, and desperate civilians cannot flee the relentless dropping of bombs and white phosphorus. Meanwhile, half of the world struggles to figure out how to convince the powerful few that the genocide must end. All while our government sends another $1 billion of taxpayer money to keep the whole thing going. Some of us who choose not to look away have been witnessing absolute hell on earth, unfiltered, for 7 months. For 7 months, we have been trying to do everything we can, follow the proper protocol and procedure to beg the people in power to stop the unchecked US-sponsored slaughter of Palestinian men, women, and children. And time again, we are met with hostile aggression or cowardice silence. You, our elected officials, the leaders in our community, the people granted the power and authority to amplify our voices, the absolute very least you could do is to call for the carnage to stop. But many of you, most of you, chose silence. I am an alumni of NMSU and a proud public servant. But you and many other leaders who watch and say nothing, you all make me question who and what I am serving. I am so fed up with this facade of institutional decency. It means absolutely nothing when we systematically decide that we are okay with children being crushed in their sleep and peace advocates being beaten in the streets. As long as we don't disturb the comfort, peace, and land-grabbing plans of the powerful. The children and young people of the world are begging us all to wake them up from this gruesome nightmare, but instead our leaders choose to sleep in comfort. For anyone still listening, please do not give up the fight for the soul of humanity versus the insatiable appetite of global imperialism. Please continue to call for the boycott, divestment, and sanctioning of the Israeli government. Please continue to call your elected officials demanding an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Viva Palestina.
Anyone on the third row on my right? Fourth row?
My name is John O'Leary, and I represent the pickleball community. Thank you for having us. We would like to know why we can't share 14 courts. The Lions Club...
Mr. Levy, could you speak directly?
Oh, yes, is this
yeah,
better?
A little bit louder.
Okay, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. We would like to know why we cannot share 14 courts that are being so rarely used, and we're losing pickleball people. They can't play. We've taught hundreds of players, and they're beginners and intermediates. They cannot play. We have 8 courts, and we will never have enough. If you line those courts, we will come. And I guess it's the Parks and Recreation will not listen to us. I've had meetings with them, 2 meetings, and Lions is off the table. Young Park is being vandalized because we can't play there. There's marks of places all over there. I can't teach children, parents, handicap, families. This is the only active family sport that they can play, and there's no gender. We need your help. We need you to finally speak up to get us these courts. Lions dedicated these for all recreational purposes, not just tennis. And no one knows about this contract because none of you guys were born before 71, except for those old man there. But this was 1971 when it was dedicated for all-purpose uses. I tried to show Parks and Recs all the names, dates, and times I used a Young Park was not accepted. We can't prove anything to you if you don't accept anything or you don't line the courts. We have a handicap here, we have another handicap, and we have a father who's going to speak. Why can't we get these courts? We have never got a great answer, not legal, good question why we can't have those courts. Every man, woman, and child who can walk can play this sport. Please, please help us. So all we're asking you is to please, I have to tell you, it's Mr. Franco, in my opinion, working with him, he has denied us these courts. No reason whatever. I mentioned Lions Park, he looked me right in the eye and said, off the table. He didn't know I have this contract. This contract says all purposes on Lions, and we need Young. Okay, we need Young Park so it doesn't get vandalized. Please help us out. We're hurting a lot of people. And some of you people I talk to up there know how important pickleball is. The fastest growing sport in 7 years in America. The USTA and pickleball is getting together now to share pickleball. The Tennis Association, United States, the French Open and the United States Open, but this tennis association will not work with us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else on that row?
I must be short. Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. My name is Diane Giever, and I'm here today representing the local Parkinson's community. 10 years ago, I was told by a neurologist that I had Parkinson's disease. I frantically began researching the disease in the hope of finding something to slow the progression. What I found was that while medication helps with symptoms, exercise was the only thing that can slow the progression and keep the many symptoms at bay. One day in 2018, while eating at McDonald's, I saw Laura Smart wearing an Ask Me About Pickleball shirt. So I tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Tell me about pickleball," and I've been playing regularly ever since. As a former tennis player, I found the transition to pickleball fairly easy. Currently, I serve on the board of the Parkinson's Support Group of Southern New Mexico and have been very involved with our Parkinson's community and support group. I wanted to share my love of this sport so badly with others in the group. So with the help of Coach John Levy, who just spoke, I was able to fulfill my dream. We are so grateful for Parks and Rec to allow us to use the multipurpose room at Mearshite for our weekly sessions at a nominal cost. We began this journey in December of 2022 with a few brave people who came out to see what all the hype was about. Since then, it has grown to approximately 10 regular players who have improved exponentially over time. In fact, we are almost outgrowing the room. While playing with others who aren't burdened by the many challenges of Parkinson's isn't possible, finding somewhere to play outside our little room is virtually impossible. We wish there were more opportunities to play as we enjoy our once-a-week sessions so much, and it has helped me and others with our progressing symptoms to keep them at bay. The best part of pickleball is that when I am playing, I forget that I even have Parkinson's. I would play every day if I could. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope that soon we will have more courts available for all to play. People with disabilities, young children, families, and seniors. This sport has literally changed my life for the better, and I'm sure that many others feel the same. I'd like to thank Becky Curran, I see she's not here today, for her support and assistance to implement improvements to the Rincon Hills Park pickleball court. I have David here today. Do you want to speak?
Hi, I'm David Protzek. I'm a stroke survivor, and Diane's Parkinson's group has been kind enough to let me play with them because we have comparable limitations. And I just want to say that having access to more pickleball courts would be ideal. Thank you.
My name is Kathy Short. Hello, everyone. I wasn't prepared to speak. I just would like to say that with the overabundance of pickleball players and the lack of courts, we're running into frustrations, and I'm afraid it's going to become a safety issue now because people are getting frustrated with lack of places to play. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, everyone. Preston Gambardella. So I'm the dad of the bunch. So like most good ideas, it began with my wife, who decided that she wanted to find something for all four of us to be able to do together. So she said she wanted a pickleball set for Christmas stocking stuffer. So I said, you got it. $20 later, we were out at Apodaca Park playing together as a family. So the four of us kind of hanging out, doing our thing. We had no idea, watched a YouTube video of even what the rules were. Fast forward just a little bit, some of the pickleball community actually connected with my kids' school and began to teach the kids that they go to Mesilla Valley Leadership Academy, and so began to teach some of the kids the basics of the game, how to play, that kind of fun stuff, which spurred them on to drive my wife and I out more and more. So just last week, I was able to play 3 times during the week with my kids. So the first night, it was 5 o'clock. We got to the courts, my son and I were able to play. No big deal. By the time we left, about 7, it started to get pretty busy. So Tuesday night, my daughter had her last game at Mearshite basketball. So we decided we would go by after that and play a few rounds. And unsuccessfully, though, the courts were packed, and we didn't want to wait, an hour to play. So limited space. So we went back again Thursday night, same situation. So, when we do that, we started kind of driving past the tennis courts there on Picacho, and at most, 3 courts were being used of whatever 12 or 14 courts that are there. So, yeah, just trying to understand how we have, kind of a disparity between overflow and empty. So that's essentially what we're asking for is, paint the stripes. You don't have to take the nets down. They just flip, and good family activity. So it's been great for my family and I to spend time together, and we've enjoyed it. So appreciate your time.
Thank you. That was row 4. Anyone in row 5?
Hello, I'm Susan Greenwald Cabello, Executive Director of Downtown Las Cruces Partnership and the Las Cruces Arts and Cultural District. This weekend, we celebrated our 3rd annual Lit Fest and 4th annual Generations Community Writing Project Reading. It was a great success. We had it at the Doña Ana Arts Council, Film Las Cruces, and then finally at the Rio Grande Theater. Chris Leiniger and his crew, especially Scott, did such a great job for us. We rolled in, the PowerPoint was going, the chairs were set up correctly. Our event is people in the community that are paired together that read. So we are all amateurs all the time, and they had a really professional way of dealing with us and answering all of our questions and anticipating our needs. So we really appreciate that. Councilor McClure did our closing comments for the reading, and we appreciate that as well. She is a Generations alum from our first cycle. So thank you for making this possible and making it happen every year. It's such a great community event. We are switching gears kind of here at the end of our fiscal year. We are working on a new project for us, which is a business fair. We're calling it a speed dating business fair as of today. Our copy is due tomorrow, so it might change. It's going to be asking small businesses to come who are new or emerging, and then we are going to pair them in groups and let them sit down at tables with community resources, such as the city of Las Cruces is going to talk to them about your data services. We're going to have West, SCORE, New Mexico Main Street is going to table. So it's just a whole bunch of different organizations and our economic development ecosystem. So it's not lectures, it's not speeches, it is one-on-one assistance all day long. We're going to provide coffee and lunch. It is a $10 ticket. I have sponsorships or scholarships available. I just am trying to prevent a whole bunch of people sign up and then no one shows up scenario. So hope that you can help us get the message out about that as well. I gave Christine some prints from our art show that is still up at the Rio Grande Theater. It is called West of Eden. It is themes from Steinbeck reimagined through the contemporary Southwest. They are paintings. There are 6 of them still at the Rio Grande Theater. They will be there to the end of the month. They are really great in print, but they are fantastic in person. They're very large. It takes just a few minutes to stop by and see them, and I hope that you do before they leave town. They are on their way to Salinas, California, to the National Steinbeck Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that 2, 3, 4? Anyone else on row 5? Row 6?
City Council and Mayor, I'm Sarah Smith. Thank you for focusing on the many local issues that you were elected to work on. As you know, our community is continuing to suffer under high crime and repeat offenders are responsible for a large portion of this crime. If you look at public records, you can see that there are men committing dozens and dozens of crimes only to be released onto the streets because they are labeled as incompetent to stand trial. For instance, one of the top repeat offenders was charged 63 times over a 1.5 year period with offenses including criminal trespass, possession of illegal drugs, assault, property damage, indecent exposure, shoplifting, and unlawful carrying of a deadly weapon. Another top repeat offender had 56 charges, including trespassing, shoplifting, assault, and battery, meaning he physically harmed someone. These and many other top repeat offenders have 999 West Amador listed as their address, which means they are homeless, since that is the address for the Mesilla Valley Community of Hope. You've had numerous business owners and residents come before you to ask you to help. Their businesses and homes are being vandalized. Windows are being broken. Property is being taken. People are being threatened and harmed, but we are told there is no way out until the legislature changes the state law. The governor's upcoming special session in July is a prime opportunity to push for the changes we need. Several of you have expressed support for legislation aimed at making sure that criminals who are labeled as incompetent are not just released back onto the streets of Las Cruces. Will you, as a public body, please sign a resolution in support of competency legislation and urge the governor and legislators to take action on this during the July special session? Our Doña Ana County legislators have been largely silent on this issue, and we need your help. Will you please speak up for us and send a powerful resolution to Santa Fe that we need competency legislation now? Thank you for your service.
Anyone else on the 6th row, 7th, 8th, 9th? Anyone else on the right side? You waving, or you want to come up? Okay, come on.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm here with my daughter and my trusty and talented assistant here, giving me my hands free. I also wanted to comment on the shopping cart ordinance that has been proposed. I don't quite remember what I was going to say, but so it seems to me that this ordinance is treating the shopping carts as like a proxy for more serious crimes. We're saying homeless people are often pushing around shopping carts. A lot of homeless people with mental illness, addiction, and whatever are the ones committing a lot of these burglaries and vandalisms, as that individual just said. And so doing something about the shopping carts will nip that in the bud, and I just don't think that that's the case. And this seems to be based on the broken window theory of criminal deterrence, which is named that because somebody articulated as, a property is abandoned, then a window gets broken and nothing gets done about it, and then people see that as a signal that they can continue to escalate their behavior. And this theory was kind of widespread in the 80s and was kind of promoted the stop and frisk program, where if you nitpick on the little things, the big things become less of a problem. And that has pretty much been debunked. It turns out that crime goes up and down for a lot of reasons, a lot of national trends, and when you control for those, it doesn't really make much of a difference. But what it does do is create a lot of liabilities for police departments and cities. They can be sued for inconsistent enforcement, for civil rights violations and stuff like that. So I feel like, while not increasing the public safety, it will increase the liabilities and lawsuits and be very expensive for the city. Growing up in the 90s, you watched Law and Order on television because it was on all the time. And they always say the criminal justice system is composed of two distinct and separate parts: the police, who investigate crimes, and the district attorney's office, who prosecutes them. And there is a third piece, which is the sentencing. And each of those pieces has its flaws. There doesn't seem to be much investigation, or much emphasis on investigation. People have said how number of crimes reported no longer reflects the reality because people have lost confidence that there will be any sort of follow-up. I think the department, in my opinion, needs to put more resources into investigation so people can have that confidence. And if people knew that, hey, even if there's video or photos, that will be followed up on and be tracked, and there would be more likely to be apprehensions, and et cetera. Second piece, as she said, prosecution. We need to find some way to prosecute those people who are deemed incompetent, but also hold them if they are clearly a threat to the community, which requires a judge signing something, which can be done digitally. We can just send them a message and say, this person's at risk for this reason, please hold them. Third piece is sentencing. Like I said, there's no place for these people to go. Look up Carner Blue. It's a special education institution for people with severe psychiatric disorders. We can adapt it for adults. What's your legislative priority? Let's go.
Thank you.
Council, city councilors, good afternoon. My name is Jorge Aguirre. I'm a longtime resident. And I'm here just to perhaps tell you something you already know, remind you that a lot of the criminal problems that we have are caused by poverty. And a lot of the things you're dealing with are things that you didn't cause, like climate change and immigrant crisis and war abroad. But we do have to deal with the consequences, right? Which is increased poverty and increased inequality. And some of those poverty processes are caused by historic legislation that the city enacted many decades ago, right? Like zoning that requires minimum city parking, and offset for buildings, right? And so I would like to request that those are removed. There's also a huge emphasis on building car-centric infrastructure, which forces people to spend a large portion of their income on a vehicle because it's the only way to get their way around the city. And so I would like us to consider making sure that it's a standard part of our city that we build alternative modes of transportation so that people who can bike and use a wheelchair and take a stroller don't have to risk their lives just to cross the city, cross every street just because drivers are impatient. So anyway, the largest cost of people's poverty is housing and transportation. And one large portion of housing cost is the lack of offer. So if you can modify our city regulations so that we can facilitate the building and construction of more high-density housing, maybe high-rise apartment complexes, and also, public transportation, of course. But pedestrian and citizen-centric infrastructure instead of car-centric infrastructure. So we don't have to have a large portion of our incomes go to the auto industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think that's everyone for public participation. Next, I'll look for acceptance of agenda.
Move to approve.
Second by Flores.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Coran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, we'll open with resolutions and/or ordinance for discussion. 7.1, resolution number 24-119, a resolution authorizing a contract for online marketplace purchases with Amazon.com Services, LLC of Seattle, Washington, via Omni Partners, Prince William County Public Schools contract.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
And we'll have Ms. Molina presenting.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors, and city staff. My name is Suri Molina, buyer in the purchasing program. I am representing a resolution to authorize a contract purchase agreement for Amazon Marketplace purchases. The city of Las Cruces procures general goods for its staff across all departments to support the city's daily operations. Each department allocates a budget for its general good requirements as part of the annual budgeting process. The total amounts are combined to determine the contract amount needed for the fiscal year. Thank you. Las Cruces Municipal Code allows the city to utilize contracts from other entities to effectively procure goods and services at a lower cost. Omnia Partners has a contract to allow the city to to purchase general goods from Amazon Marketplace at a discounted price. Amazon.com Services of Seattle, Washington offers reduced pricing to the city based on Prince William County Public Schools contract for a term through January 18, 2028. The purchasing section is requesting authorization to enter into a contract with Amazon for an amount not to exceed $500,000 annually, subject to approved budget appropriations. Here are your options, and I stand for questions.
Any questions? No, thank you. Go ahead.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-119. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran is absent. Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next, we'll have 7.2, resolution number 24-120, a resolution to award professional service contracts for utilities engineering service on an as-needed basis.
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
Ms. Virginia Varela?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, City staff. My name is Virginia Varela. I'm the Buyer 2 with Financial Services Department. And before you today is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service agreements for utilities engineering services. The City of Las Cruces requires proposals for utilities engineering services for network analysis for water, wastewater, and gas systems, design of electrical water, wastewater, and gas utility systems, landfill systems, and well houses, supervisory, controlled, and data acquisition, master planning, feasibility, and solid waste studies, land use permitting, subsurface utility exploration, and boundary and easement surveying. On February 2nd, the city advertised requests for proposals for procurement number 2324052 for the purpose of pre-qualifying firms that can provide these specialized engineering services and enter into agreements with recommended firms. The solicitation was closed on February 22nd, 2024. 14 responses were received and submitted to the Selection Advisory Committee for review and recommendation on April 10th, 2024. SAC recommendation was to award to all vendors that did respond to the RFP. Before you are the local vendors that are from the Las Cruces, Albuquerque, and El Paso area. That's a total of 10 vendors. And then in addition to that, we did have 4 vendors that are non-local vendors. It is advantageous for the city to utilize It is advantageous for the city of Las Cruces to have a pre-qualified list of engineers from which to select. All city departments are going to be able to utilize these contracts with the awarded engineering firms on an as-needed basis for budgeted projects. There are numerous projects that are budgeted throughout the upcoming fiscal years. These projects do vary in quantity, complexity, and cost. Additionally, there are times when special funding is made available to the city for specific projects. The funding sources often give strict timeframes within which improvements must be designed and constructed to secure the funding. By having a pre-qualified list of engineers, it will not be necessary to go through individual requests for proposal, to contract for the necessary work for each individual project and ensure that these projects, which are essential for the health and the safety of the community, are completed within the set timeframes of the allotted budgeting. The contract terms are going to be for 4 years for each individual contract with each individual vendor. They will be for a not to exceed amount of $2 million annually per vendor, subject to budget appropriations. And before you are your options, and I stand for questions.
Questions? Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your presentation.
Our script says that it's for a 5-year period, not a 4-year period.
I will need to check and verify if that was an error on my end. I apologize, give me one moment.
But you said 4. I think your cohort is going to help you out, or maybe your boss, I don't know.
It does say in the title for a 5-year term.
So it's 5 and not 4?
Yes.
Okay. My other question is, it's an allocation of $2 million for each contract entity?
Mayor, councilors, yes, that is correct. It will be $2 million per vendor per year.
So that's, well, how many vendors? 4, 2, so that's 8 million? Or I don't know, my multiplication.
There are 14 vendors total.
Okay, 14, so 14 times whatever. So that's going to be allocated. What happens if, say, Molson Corbin, makes more of a request, more than $2 million, but it's the best buy, it's the best purchasing price. What happens if you've already exceeded the $2 million
Councilor, Mayor, the $2 million is going to be set by you today. If there were an event that were to happen that we would potentially exceed $2 million with any vendor, we would bring that again before council for you to review it and for you to approve it. Should you approve it, then we would move forward. If you did not, then we would be capped at that limit and we would have to entertain other options.
Okay, so this is over a 5-year period, and so we're allocating money henceforth, 5 million, well, whatever, for what is it, 2 million per entity, 5 years in advance. So what happens if rates go up, or what happens if the money isn't expended on that particular provider?
Mayor, councilors, so this is just allowing us to spend up to $2 million with each vendor on an annual basis for any projects that are brought to council and approved by council through each budgeted fiscal year. As part of the proposals that each of the individual vendors did submit to us, they did give us hourly rates and rates for the services that they would provide. Should they want to amend those rates, their hourly rates that they charge us per this contract, again, that would be something that we would have to bring forward to council to make that amendment to that contract.
Okay, so then the allocation of $2 million for each vendor is set aside just for the use of those vendors?
Yes.
And it's done to do it expeditiously?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-120. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Coran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is 7.3, Resolution Number 24-121, a resolution adopting the municipal adopted budget for fiscal year 24-25 for the city of Las Cruces.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, City Management, staff, and public. My name is Jacqueline Rubalcaba, Budget and Grant Administrator. I am bringing forth a resolution today to adopt the City Manager's FY 24-25 proposed budget. This has been months of collaboration between all city departments, budget, HR, city management, and council input. We have held a budget retreat, multiple internal meetings, and 2 work sessions, one of those being a public hearing. For this budget book, we will, the theme is Adelante con Cariño. So this is lifting the community, Adelante con Cariño, by working together for more prosperous, safe, and equitable Las Cruces. This is a continuation of the Cariño theme of last year. The cover photo was selected there was a contest held by Visit Las Cruces called Scenic Southern New Mexico 2024. One of the local winners, Leslie Vaquera, submitted this photo, and we're using it for the cover. Throughout the budget book, we'll also be using different submissions as a way to encompass and bring forth the community's efforts and how they view the city of Las Cruces. So today we do have Leslie Vaquera here with us, and she did want to say a couple of words. So Leslie.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie Vaquera. I am a freelance graphic designer and photographer, and I'm just very grateful to be here. I was not expecting, I won a grand prize from Visit Las Cruces, and they reached out to me saying that they wanted to use my photo on the cover, which is really such a wow experience for me. So I'm just really grateful to be here and grateful to meet everyone. Everyone's been really nice, so yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you and congratulations.
We'll start off with the citywide expenses. This table is in millions. We do show the FY24 revised and the FY25 proposed. So looking through here, we see that the general fund did increase approximately 13.3 million. Throughout the presentation, I'll be explaining that increase. Some of the larger changes have been in capital project funds and enterprise funds. We see a decrease in capital project funds of approximately 18.5 million. This is due to, part of it is due to the way that grants are budgeted. We did change the way that some of these grants are budgeted, specifically reauthorizations. We do, later in the year, we'll receive anything that was reauthorized, we'll receive a new grant agreement. At that time, we'll budget it. There are also, in enterprise, you'll see that there was a decrease of approximately 34.8 million. Some of this is again due to grants. For example, transit is budgeted differently. When we get the FY25 transit grant, it's budgeted at that time. There are also closing of some bonds, some for utilities, and decreasing of capital loans that are ending or decreasing throughout the year. So that gives us the FY24 revised citywide expenses of the proposed was 632, the FY24 revised was 632 million, and the FY25 proposed of 596.6 million, which is a decrease of approximately 35.4 million. The next slide is going to show a visual representation of those FY25 proposed expenses shown in the previous table. The largest breakup will be in enterprise funds, with about 29% of the proposed expenditures, followed closely by the general fund at approximately 28%. Enterprise funds is those funds such as utilities, airport, and transit, and the general fund is the operating funds for the general city. Here is the expenditures for just the general fund. For the FY23 and 24 revised, it was approximately 151.8 million. For this proposed budget, it's 165.1. This is an increase of approximately 8.8%. Breaking down the general funds, this is all not just the main general fund, but this breaks down all the general funds for the city. This includes like facilities or the VAF that are housed in a separate fund, but are included as part of the general funds. The beginning balance for FY25 proposed is 68.2 million, with revenues of 162.6, expenditures of approximately 169, net transfers of 29.1, an ending balance of 32.7, and as with the general funds, there is a required 2/12 that is 27.5%, giving us an available balance in all general funds of 5.2 million. This is a breakdown of just the general fund. So Fund 1000 again in millions, showing the same data, the FY24 revised and the FY25 proposed. For FY25 proposed, there is an available balance at the bottom about approximately 3.9 million compared to the FY24 revised of 6.8 million. This is a decrease of approximately 2.8 million. We wanted to break down the general fund expenditure changes. This goes back to the 13.3 million that we showed in the prior slides. The changes are largely due to personnel at approximately 10.2 million, operating at 6.5 million, and capital decreased approximately 3.4 million. And this is still from the FY24 revised to the FY25 proposed. Some of the FY25 budget considerations that were taken that are incorporated in this budget are the salary and benefit projections. There is a 3 to 4% general wage increase incorporated in the budget. Represented and bargain contracts were incorporated, as well as longevity, and a 0.05% parent increase, and an insurance premium increase of 12%. The vacant positions were budgeted at 50%, and the health insurance for those positions was budgeted at employee-only rate this year. Here's a breakdown of where your money comes from. So these are for general fund FY25 proposed revenues. So total general fund revenues is approximately 145.9 million, largely made up of GRT at about 76%. Where your money goes, these are general fund FY25 proposed expenditures. Total general fund expenditures are 165,143,411, largely made up of personnel at 66%, followed by operating at 32%. We broke down the FY25 budget by departments. We see the largest being at the top is police at 38.2 million, and then it flows down. We also broke this table down by personnel, operating, and capital, and you'll see that through the different colors. So personnel is in the pink, operating is blue, and capital is the yellow. You'll see that this follows the consistency of showing that personnel is the largest category, and this makes up the general fund expenditures of 165.1 million. This is again the FY25 department budgets, but this one also shows you the FY24 revised compared to the FY25 proposed. You do see that throughout the departments there was an increase in budget in all the departments. There is a slight decrease in legal, but that was just due to restructuring. Internal audit left legal. And again, this comes up to the 165.1 million. General fund transfers, this is a breakdown of the transfers coming out of the general fund. At the top, we'll see that this includes the GRT street maintenance of 4.5 million, as well as 713,000 to airport. So it does list all the transfers that are coming out of the general fund for the FY25 proposed. And at the bottom, we see hold harmless contingency transfer in. We did transfer from hold harmless into the general fund, and it netted to about 7 million, giving us total net transfers to the general fund at approximately 5.6 million. For FY25, these are the following new positions proposed. We did break them down by department, the position request, and the FTE equivalency. Please note that these positions are budgeted at 50%. Here's a continuation of those FY25 new positions to give us a total new FTE count of 21 in new positions. We wanted to provide some city manager approval highlights. These are some of the highlights that you see within the budget. So starting off, we have community development with $200,000 for the nuance abatement team. And this is a team to investigate and inspect the safety and sanitation conditions of vacant and unkept structures and properties throughout the city. This is to make sure that that the buildings are boarded and secured as needed, and that there aren't, and when necessary, any demolition of unsafe structures is completed. For fire, $150,000. This is for the Police Athletic League Boxing, also referred to as PAL Boxing, at the Sammy Burke Youth Boxing Center. And PAL does offer boxing and non-boxing activities for community youth. Another highlight is for police, $237,404. This is for 3 park ranger positions and their corresponding 3 vehicles. This is an initiative between police and parks to make all our city parks safer. These will be uniformed, sworn personnel, and their sole purpose is to increase safety in our parks. Along with that, police also, we'd like to highlight $110,000 for the wellness program. This is an expansion on the law enforcement PTSD support and family counseling, and this is to advance our officer wellness program and help address the mental, emotional, financial, and physical needs of our officers and their families. Another highlight is for the Mesilla Valley Community of Hope campus. This is an increase of $310,000 for security. This is to provide 24-hour security for a safer campus. This following bullet you'll see is $300,000 for Mano a Mano community outreach and a vehicle. This does say pending as it's not currently budgeted in the city budget. There are options to include this via amended budget during this motion or to budget in July. We do bring adjustments in July to clean up the budget or any additional requests, so this can be added at this time. So we did put a pending with an asterisk. Another highlight is for quality of life, $183,500 for senior citizen meals. This is to provide and deliver hot meals to homebound senior citizens, along with a $6,000 pet food program to provide the senior citizens food to feed their furry companions. There is also a proposed $60,000 increase for security for the Munson Center. And this is to increase the security during operating hours to address issues as they arise and to keep the center safe. For a municipal court and legal, there is a collaboration with various departments, including Muni Court, legal, city manager's office, and police for this program under the SOS, which is Safety Opportunity Support. Currently budgeted is $213,000. This is for a full-time public defender that will be on site at the Las Cruces Municipal Court. Some funds were also used for ankle monitoring services. This will assist in reducing recidivism, protecting the community at large, and identifying when clients require a higher level of care. Without services, there will also be a case manager, care manager. Again, here we show at the bottom, the second bullet is a continuation of the safety opportunity support / community court. A proposed $200,000, this is not incorporated in the budget, so it also has the asterisk with pending. You have the same options as with the previous. And this is to provide nonprofit provided services and case/care management. This will be used for counseling, treatment for substance use and mental health disorders, different appointments, and home visits. And for Public Works program, another highlight is the $672,545. This is for the sidewalk gap funding. And this will benefit the community at large, repairing damaged portions of sidewalk and filling in gaps with created continuous paths, increasing the walkability and safety for pedestrians. Here we listed additional city manager approvals that were approved within the budget, but we didn't highlight these. So we listed them out again by department, description, and the amount. Any of the items that have an asterisk are a reclass. And here's a continuation of those. For FY25, the Vehicle Acquisition Fund, the city manager did propose $1 million for the Vehicle Acquisition Fund, broken down into 16 units and spread across the following departments. And then for FY25, we're also showing the Towel Shore Fund. First, we're starting off with a list of all of the Towel Shore Fund requests proposed for this budget, as well as on this slide they're not included, but on the next slide you'll see that there's asterisks for any carryovers. So these are all the proposed coming out of the Towel Shore for FY25, and here they continue. And at the last slide, we'll see the FY24 carryovers, such as at the Pedrena Senior Apartments and Three Sisters, giving us a total proposed out of Towel Shore for FY25 being at approximately $28 million. To provide additional information on Towel Shore Fund, the current market value is sitting at about $42.4 million, with the FY25 proposed budget expenses of $28.3 million. The remaining market value is approximately $14.1 million. As with the other approvals, we did highlight some of the Towel Shore Fund proposed approvals. We start off with affordable housing. There is two proposed complexes, Peachtree Canyon Apartments and Amador Crossing, to be funded partially out of the Towel Shore Fund. And for the legacy parks, approximately $2.5 million. And this is going to be for the legacy parks and for renovations for the parks. The top priority is right now Young Park, pictured below, as well as Apodaca. And for Young Park, the first priority is to renovate the front entrance and Colorado Avenue entry, and then continue with a gathering area / food truck court and different renovations throughout, including an in-ground slide. Some highlights for the playground replacement. Approximately $1.5 million was set aside for this playground replacement, and it is just throughout the city, across the city, essential playground replacements that are needed to continue to meet national standards for municipal parks. The ones pictured were Klein and Frank O'Brien Center. And lastly, we're highlighting the Real-Time Crime Center. This is an FY24 carryover. It recently came to council and was approved at approximately at $1.1 million. We broke down the allocation here, and it's to provide support to officers actively responding to calls. This will be a new initiative to have a real-time crime center. With this, in the new positions, we also listed that there are 3 real-time crime center techs budgeted, as well as 2 reclasses in FY24. And lastly, we'll close up with the fiscal agent contribution. These are the this is just for the city of Las Cruces portion, and these are the proposed increases to the city of Las Cruces contributions that we provide to these agencies. So for animal services, there's a proposed increase of approximately $171,952. For MRVDA, $423,308. The proposed increases for the year is totaled at $595,260, bringing the city of Las Cruces portion of these contributions to $5,376,637, including the Metro status quo. Here are your council options, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. So the Towel Shore funds, the Towel Shore Fund's money that go to the different entities, how, well, no, never mind, forget that. The NAT, I thought that the NAT also provided money for homes that could be restored. Do you know if the city is still doing that?
I'd have to defer to community development for that. I don't have the specifics on it.
I think Larry's coming up.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Larry Nichols, Community Development. I believe your question was that the nuisance abatement team funding was to also add to housing?
To help restore the property.
Yes. The community development is the leader for this program. And basically we have discovered over the last couple of years, there are a number of properties that have become vacant, unoccupied, and they on occasion deteriorate to a point of being unsafe for occupancy. Our first effort is to get voluntary compliance from the property owner. If they cannot achieve that, then we take a program to abate the property, primarily to just abate, to secure and board it, but not to do remodeling or renovation. If we can't get the abatement through board and secure, then we go to a procedure of demolition, but that is our last effort.
So money isn't given to the owner, or the city doesn't provide services or money for the owner to restore the property? Is that what?
Mayor and Council Forrest, the only time that the city would be funding or providing funds for an abatement to a property, if the owner was not able to do that or declined to do that, then we would do the abatement or the demolition, and then we would file lien on the property for recovery of the costs that the city may have provided.
You'd put a lien on the property, and then the city would expect to be reimbursed at what point?
The mayor and council.
Death or sale or?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the lien is placed, and it resides there until the property changes ownership or is otherwise refunded.
Refunded. Okay, thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have another question.
Oh, you have another one? I'm sorry.
In the, the police officers, the allocations for the police officers, I think that's page 18. Yeah, no, that was a different page. But there was money allocated for police officers. Does that include raises? Does that I don't think this is the page. But the allocations for police officers, does it include wages or raises or positions?
Yes, so we do have these are some increases for police, and then we also have, let me go to the slide, we have new positions for police. So we have the park rangers and the real-time crime center techs. 3 park rangers and 3 real-time crime center techs.
Okay, and when your department works on allocating monies to increase services and departments or salaries, how do you establish that need? For example, my humble opinion, is that our police officers are underpaid. I mean, they put their lives on the line day to day, minute to minute. And my understanding of their pay is, hate to use the word, but it's criminal because it's just, and so I'm just putting that out there. for,
It's
for the city to hear it, for Leanne to hear it, for Barbara to hear it. I've already spoken to Mr. Tamalpeo about that. So are any allocations made to increase because our fire, I don't know how much firemen or firefighters are paid, but I do know how much police officers are paid, and it's dismal. I mean, I wouldn't be a police officer for that pay. I wouldn't put my life on the line. So I want to thank all the officers who do that for us. But so do you do that kind of budgeting in terms of, say, when the contract comes up with the union and these discussions, are allocations made beforehand to see if there's some negotiation that goes on?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, as far as new positions, the department determines priorities on how to budget, and then it goes through city management. As far as how much they're paid, I'm going to actually defer to HR. We don't, in budget, determine how much employees are paid.
Okay, so then how do you budget for new positions?
It's determined, there's job descriptions created, and at that time, those are the set rates, and the departments do provide that information along with HR, and then we put them into the budget.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Would you like clarification from HR? Or?
Well, I don't want to, I want clarification from HR. Where's HR? There she is. And then maybe clarification by Leanne.
Excuse me, Councilor Flores, Mayor and Council Flores. Also, Chief wanted to add some words as well.
Mayor, Councilor Flores, Jeremy Story, Police Chief. I'll probably say what Joe's already going to say, but all of our non-represented positions, the members that are not part of the union, which is all of our sergeants, lieutenants, our civilian employees, have the same 3 to 4% wage increase budgeted for this year. The majority of our officers fall under a union contract, and that comes open for full negotiation next year. So any increase has to be negotiated as a part of the contract, and next year they'll do a full negotiation.
Does that exceed the 4%, or it's unknown? Is it an unknown?
It's unknown right now, but any salary or wage increase would come during that contract negotiation next year.
So how is that allocated, prospectively? Ms. Richards?
Typically, it's not a specific set amount for the unions. I'm sorry, Joe Richards, HR Director for the record. We determine an amount that is projected in the budget overall if it's not already set in the contract. So we try to prepare for that and allocate the monies as we can with the amounts that are negotiated.
So I know how to keep my own checkbook, but what you all do is like magic to me. So if I ask a question that sounds stupid, it's because I'm ignorant, and there's nothing wrong with being ignorant. But what happens then if the union, say our police officers were to say, you know what, if you're not going to give us a 6% increase on the, the Mickey Mouse pay I'm already getting now, forget it. I'd rather, whatever, do something else with my life. But say, for example, the city does negotiate and does approve the 6%. Would the money be there to give the 6% or whatever 10% increase?
Yes, ma'am, we try to prepare for that.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Ms. Richards. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Anyone else? McClure, Councilor McClure.
Just a process question more than anything else. So if we have those asterisks next to the 300,000 and we amend, how does that come about? Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. Is that going to be a burden to the situation if we say we amend it? And how is that funded then? That's my question.
know this stuff.
For the record, Leanne Demouche, Finance Director. Mayor, Council McClure, could you repeat your question one more time? I want to make sure that I answer it.
Sure. We had a couple of slides where we had asterisks. I think one of them, the Mesilla Valley Hope Outreach. Don't quote me on that one. Yeah, mano. Go back.
Yeah. Is it one more?
One back.
There it is. Okay.
So
there's actually two. I think
Yeah,
there's
there were
this
two.
one, and then there is this one right here as well for SOS.
So if we seek to amend it with these increases, and I think these increases hinge some other things that we want to support in the future, how would this get budgeted then? How does this get added into this?
So what, to add this to the budget, so there is funding in the fund balance that we have. Think of this as a checkbook, so you have an available balance. And so what we would do is you would have to bring forward to this an amendment. And I think when I'm talking to Christine, it would probably be 2 amendments. And so she didn't give me thumbs up, but I think that is true. Yes. So you would, if council wants to do this, they would bring 2 amendments forward. We would just take those funds from the fund balance and go into, as Councilor Flores says, our magic and add it to our ERP system, Munis. And then it would be there for the departments, in this case, Mesilla Valley Community of Hope, to spend it.
Just because it is magic, tell me why this was not just included. Why is there an asterisk?
So the reason that there is an asterisk is, as you know, in all things, there has to be a point in time where we have to advertise this to the public. We have to get information out to the public. And so this was sort of something, this was something that was brought forward to the budget after we had already presented or had put this out for the public. And so we apologize for that, but it was just something that we had not anticipated, that was not brought forward to our attention, but then it was. And so that's why we put it on the slides as pending.
Thank you, that helps a lot.
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments on that as well, but I first wanted to start with positives. I really wanted to thank staff for, I was looking at my notes from our budget retreat back in February, and for me, it was really important that we funded the nuisance abatement team with hopes that in the future we include funding for rehousing of folks while locations are being rehabbed. Which, by the way, there is a home rehab program under our housing and neighborhood services, just as a side. But I did want to thank staff for taking that seriously and moving forward to fund that. I know it's a collaboration between community development, fire, police, and several other departments, and I think that's really important. And then I also just wanted to thank for including the 2 legacy parks as priorities, Young and Apodaca Park. I know we had a long conversation about that and figuring out which parks, and so I really do want to thank staff for listening to feedback. I will be making 2 amendments today, which feels really odd. This is my 5th budget session that I've done since I've been on the council, and by this time in May, we get here and there is no need for amendments because we've talked it to death almost. We've had a budget retreat, we've had work sessions, but I do want to say, while I understand that on this particular one that came my proposal came very late, I do want to note that I felt slightly disappointed that the $200,000 for the SOS Corps was not included, as we have been talking about that for quite some time. I've been talking about that since last September. We've talked about it as a priority at the budget retreat, and really feel like it's such a critical piece in how we've prioritized community safety, and for us to not have that included feels just doesn't feel right to me. So I will be making both of those amendments instead of asking staff to come back for an amendment in the near future. I will be doing that today, but Mayor, I will wait until we hear from everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Matisse.
Yes, Leanne, if I may, or both. I just have a what-if question, okay? Could you bring up the screen with all the Telshore funding that's being spent?
Am I going the wrong way? Okay.
And if I'm
Sorry.
correct, this amounts to about 28 million.
Yes, sir, it does. For the record, Leanne Demush, Finance Director. Mayor, Councilor Matisse, you are correct, 28.3.
Okay, can I ask you, what if you didn't have the Telshore Fund? Where would you find the 28 million?
That's a...
Tough question.
Yes, Councilor, that is a tough question. It would be that we would probably have to go back. It would be either we go after grants. There's the possibility of trying to go after the grants, which our grant team is very robust. We've actually increased our grants tremendously in the last couple of years. But we would probably need to look at either the possibility of loans, bonds as well, sir. And just looking within, I like to say sometimes the cushions of our couch, but just looking at how our general fund as well. So, and I'll see if the city manager would like to even, try to answer that question as well.
Thank you, Leanne. Councilor Matisse, if it's not in the Telshore Fund, as Leanne expressed eloquently, we'll have to find room created through some type of referendum tax measure, or look in the cushions of the couch.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up is because we have a 25-26 budget that will be coming up in a year. Then we have the 26-27. So basically, we're going to zero out the Telshore Fund eventually.
Yes, sir. If that is what the mayor and the council agree upon for 26, 27 moving forward, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Flores.
Thank you. Ms. Leanne Demush, I'm not going to let you off the hook now. Well, the question that Mr. Matisse, Councilor Matisse asked was a good one because the Telshore Fund, the corpus doesn't get touched, is that correct? I mean, the corpus is constantly rejuvenating its funds, its own funds, correct?
As you can, Mayor, for the record, Leanne Demush, Finance Director. Mayor, Councilor Flores, as you can see, our current market value is 42.4. The corpus would be around 30, I want to say 30 million. There was a 26 million, and then later on we received another 4 million, so that would be what we actually received for the Telshore. So we have been, as you know, every year we do tap into the Telshore for the definition, sick, the indigent. We've been, financing a program that housing and neighborhood housing put together, the 600K. So they're using the interest that we've received on an annual basis. But as you can see, our market value, since the market is doing so well right now, we've been able to take the corpus and invest it, and now our fair market value is about 42.4 million. Hopefully with this, the proposed budget is 28.3, so we are down with the remaining market value of 14.1, which is below the corpus.
Correct, and that's my concern, because that'll evaporate in a heartbeat. I mean, it just, our budget is, it's demanding. So would we be in a position in the future to continue with that kind of funding? And I don't think so. And since I don't think so, what do we do? I mean, next year at this time, I mean, that 14,000 or whatever that remains as a corpus won't generate 40,000 or even enough, to sustain a budget as we're proposing right now.
So, Mayor, Councilor Flores, working with our new city manager, we probably would need to work with maybe a financial advisor to try to build that whatever the council, the mayor and the council want to lead us towards, but we can build that back up if that is something after this year that they want to do. There's whatever the council guides us, that's.
Well, I don't know how the rest of the councilors think or feel or whatever word you want to use, but I'm in a quandary because I would love to have that money to assure that we provide those services without a doubt. And, but then what, we're gonna be Paupersville next year instead of the city of Las Cruces. I mean, how do we remedy that? How do we live with that? Literally, how do we live with that?
Can I just add something, Counselor? Do you mind?
Yes, I do. I'd like Leanne to answer, maybe Mr. City
Well, you're
Manager.
asking how we live with that, and so I
No.
want to tell you how I live with it.
No, it's okay. I don't
Okay,
want to.
well, I will add something after Leanne adds something.
So,
Mayor, Councilor Flores, we take direction from the council and from the city manager, so I'm not really quite sure that I can answer your question. This is what we've been directed to bring forward to you in the budget, and there is a big need for all of these that has been shown to us, and that is why it's in the budget. I don't know if the city manager wants to add to that.
looks like Barbara wants to add to that.
Barbara wants.
Did you have your light on? Yeah, I think
Well-
Barbara.
Go with the city manager first. Go.
Thank you, Leanne. Councilor Flores, I serve at the behest of you and Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. As Leanne mentioned, everything we've presented is with some exceptions that came later in the work session of budget. We presented in budget retreat. So those are things that we felt it was the desire of council to come bring, and so we're bringing everything which we felt at the time of budget retreat was presented to come forth in the work session prior. If there are any changes at all, again, I serve at the behest of you and the rest of the council and Mayor Pro Tem. We're here to receive direction from you all. Just wanted to share that and reiterate what Leanne said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camupeo.
Did you have something to add, Barbara?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Councilor Flores. With respect to the initiatives that we need to fund in the future, really, part of what we would do based on your guidance for what you want to support is to lay out a funding or financial strategy for the various revenue streams that might be out there. Leanne mentioned grants. Of course, we have bond cycling, we have loans, we have appropriations from our state legislators and federal legislators as well. But mostly we're looking for steady streams of revenue in order to fund ongoing programs, which is one of the reasons why a lot of what you see in the proposal today from the Telshore Fund is not for operations, it's generally for capital projects because it's not a recurring funding source, it's not an ongoing funding source. Really, from a financial standpoint, that's what we're looking for to fund ongoing city initiatives and programs, and that's what we would need to do in order to meet any spending requests that the council lays out for us.
And Mayor, if I can, Councilor Flores, Ms. Bencomo is correct. If you could look at most of what the list is made up for of the Telshore, this is mostly all capital expenditures. Thank you so much,
Thank
Barbara.
you so much, Ms. Bencomo, Ms. Barbara Bencomo, and Ms. Leanne, and Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks. I just wanted to add that sometimes I look at the Telshore Fund much, unlike the New Mexico Permanent Fund, ours is a lot smaller. But the New Mexico Permanent Fund grew to $43 billion.
50. It's at 50. Right
Billion dollars. And I believe that it is shameful that the state of how our community is in New Mexico, poverty, crime, mental illness, it is shameful that we don't tap into those funds.
Right.
And I don't want us to do the same thing with a fund that we have that is able to invest in housing, to invest in our parks, to invest in many of these proposals that will help our community directly. And I think it's an important, it's a hard consideration. There is no making this decision lightly. And we are faced with some tough challenges and with a bank account that is right there for us to use. And I would hate to follow the lead of New Mexico having $43 billion available to use, invest in our communities, and they don't.
Mayor?
Councilor Matisse.
Yeah. Leanne, I was just bringing up because I'm thinking of the long-term investment of that $42 million fund. It could bring anywhere from 4 to 5, and if interest rates go up 6, 7 million every year, let's say for the next 10 years, that's $60 million. That's $60 million that we could have recurring over 10 years that we could put into things that we need in the city of Las Cruces. So that was my concern, that if there was another strategy, if there was another way for the capital needs, either through loans, through bonds, that might have been wiser, because then we have our cake and eat it too. We would still have the $60 million over 10 years. I'm only here for another 3.5. But you're right, in the last 8 years, things need to be fixed. The parks are a mess. Crime is up. Unhoused is up. Mental illness is up. Everything needs an immediate Band-Aid. And so that's what we've done here. We've taken a fund that would have given us $60 million over the next 10 years, and now it will give us maybe $900 to $1 million a year if it's down to 14 million and interest rates are what they are now. So if you take $1 million a year for 10 years, we just threw out $50 million that the city could have actually utilized. So that's my only concern, and I'll just vote the way I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. I'll see at this time if there's any comments from the public.
I'm short. Dolores Lucero again. I didn't plan to stay today, but I guess I'm glad I did. Two things that concern me, and I'm disappointed that you would allocate $500,000 to go to Amazon.com instead of buying from our local residents and businesses here in Las Cruces. How dare you? Comment number one. Number two, the nuisance abatement. I know that last year there was a hotel, an old motel removed from Main Street by the city through the abatement program. When are you going to abate the old bowling alley? There's no one going to move in that building with the history that it has of murder there. The building is nothing but for vagrants and for illegal activity and sexual things that are happening to the business that I work at next door. That building needs to be abated. If you want to put a tax lien on it, go for it. But I think you need to do something like that on that building, which is on a main street of our city. That is what our new residents see every single day. And thirdly, I'm going to say about the Tell Shore Fund, I was here when it was first initiated and the money was given from Life Point to the city of Las Cruces. And it's sad that you haven't thought over the last 4.5 years to have started looking for grants and other funding for the projects that you're looking to fund. The last 4.5 years, you haven't looked at how to do this differently. So now you're going to the easy fund to take the money out of there. And Councilor Matisse is very right. You're never going to make that money back up. And once you invest in building buildings, you will always and never have enough money to maintain them about 10 years later when they're dilapidated, just like the veteran building in my old district in District 2 that the city invested in. and now is boarded up, and the veterans cannot go there. Tell me how that happened. There's too much of this in this budget that is not right. And $110,000 for wellness for police that might have PTSD or having some kind of, $110,000 is one person in 1 year. That's not enough to help someone who is dealing with domestic violence, is dealing with murder, rape, and every other serious condition here in Las Cruces. $110,000, are you kidding me? I can't believe this.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
So, Shauna Pfeiffer, I downloaded the proposed budget, and I did not see anything on the vote today with regard to the Telshore Fund in any capacity whatsoever. I watched the budget work session on the 22nd of April, and this was all explained. I get it, but I don't see anything in the agenda, nor do I see anything written in the budget as published that we were voting on the Telshore Fund. Why do we have to roll all of this up into one vote? Why shouldn't we pull from the Telshore Fund item by item, vote by vote, resolution by resolution? We're lumping everything together like Congress, 500 and some odd pages of it, right? Nobody has time to read. This is that. This is ridiculous. You cannot deplete your only source of emergency funding. What if we have another pandemic that you guys have to fund to build Las Cruces back up again? You cannot vote yes for this. I don't have a speech prepared. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's bad today, because I don't believe this was published, that you all were voting on the Telshore Fund today. I thought you were voting on the budget as written. The next resolution on the book is CIP. I was ready to speak on that, not the Telshore Fund. Where did it come from? And why? And why does it have to be all at one time? For our legacy. One vote for our legacy? You continue to amaze me in all the wrong ways.
George Pearson. Thank you for highlighting the efforts that are going to go towards the sidewalk gaps. That's an important aspect of active transportation. I think maybe in the capital program you've separated out active transportation projects to highlight them better, but that's anything that we do to emphasize active transportation helps safety for all vehicle mode users. And even today, NPR had a radio program report that bicyclists have less knee pain, are healthier, and live longer. So anything that we do to support active transportation would be helpful. I know we have a Safe Streets for All grant in the works, so I'm hoping that the budget will reflect things that will work with that. At the budget retreat, there was a presentation on painting bike lanes, and I didn't go through the budget, so I hope that that allocation is still in there someplace. And thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, come on up.
My name is Quinn Cooper, and I was thinking that $500,000 for Amazon could probably cover some things for pickleball. No, actually, that is just the one thing I wanted to talk about. I was a little disappointed that you rushed through and didn't get public comment on the Amazon budget, the $500,000 going to. I'm assuming it's going into the full budget. I just kind of was hoping that there'd be a little bit transparency in those processes, what needs to be purchased by the city from Amazon, and exactly why a third party provides a better deal. It's just, I think with extra steps should come extra transparency. So That's kind of all. If there's a measure or something that you can do to amend that, that's all I'm really asking for. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir, come on up.
Wayne Allgood. Question, why weren't the grants for the Telstra Fund and other ways of earning money or retaining money from other sources not taken in consideration? Before I just spend my money at home, you would not spend your money unwisely. You would go over your accounts, you find out, what, is it cheaper to get money this way, or use my own money? If I'm earning a lot of money with interest, why should I not stay with my money? Councilor Matisse is correct. If we spend our money now, we're not going to get it back. It's going to hurt. And all of you at home, you manage your checkbooks, and you manage them well because you do not want to be someone who's going to die. So why hasn't the city took that in advance at the time and said, hey, let's find other ways first. The money's for free sometimes. But to spend our money, you wouldn't do it yourself, but you'll do it for the city. Think about that, okay? It's not your money, it's our money. You're spending our money that we pay you with our taxes. Find other ways to use that money, to get that money, and not like you're doing it today. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, wait, just, is there anybody else from the public? Okay, seeing none. Go ahead, Councilor Matisse.
Yeah, a question for Barbara Bencomo. Barbara, on the Telshore Fund, I know how it's packaged all at one rather than resolution by resolution. Does it still need a majority vote to spend the Telshore Fund?
So, Mayor and Councilor Matisse, always a majority vote is required, whether it's with respect to packaging it all together here as part of the budget proposal or bringing it one resolution at a time. Either could be accomplished.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd like to make some amendments to the budget. But first, I do just want to, just a little education on how we start this process. The individual departments ask us for certain programs, budget allocations. For example, the officer wellness budget that came from Chief. Chief Story presented his entire budget, and that's what he presented to us. So that's kind of how that happens. Mayor, I'd like to make 2 motions today. First, I motion to amend Resolution 24121 to include $200,000 from Telshore Fund for the Safety Opportunity Support SOS and Community Court Program out of Municipal Court.
Second, Graham.
Go ahead, Christine.
Okay. This is on the motion to amend Resolution 24-121 to include $200,000 from the Telshore Fund for the Safety Opportunity Support and Community Court Program. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
No.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
No.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mayor, I'd like to make a second motion.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
I motion to amend Resolution 24121 to include $300,000 from Telshore Fund for Mesilla Valley Community of Hope for expansion of services for workforce and community outreach.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to amend Resolution 24-121 to include $300,000 from the Telshore Fund for Mesilla Valley Community of Hope for expansion of services for workforce and community outreach. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
No.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yeah, do we need a motion or you're, okay, go.
So this is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-121 as amended. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran is absent. Counselor Flores?
No.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. We'll move to 7.4, resolution number 24-122, a resolution approving the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2025 through year 2030.
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councilors. Cynthia Campo, CIP Analyst. And this is a resolution to adopt the FY25 through FY30 Capital Improvement Program. The CIP budget consists of 3 project types: newly funded, carryover, and annual projects. Newly funded projects are projects that have not had funding in the past and will be newly funded, as it indicates. Carryover projects are projects that we are carrying over from the previous fiscal year into the new fiscal year. And annual projects are the programs that we have on an annual basis for recurring expenses. The FY25 carryover budget is slightly lower this fiscal year, as some projects have been completed, such as the 2018 bond projects. The annual amount has increased with the introduction of the annual projects such as active transportation and resiliency. And then please note that there is $14 million in newly funded, and that is just an estimated amount based on the agenda that was brought forward earlier with budget and other projects that are pending design approval. In that 14 million, well, let me start over. So we have a few projects that will be receiving funds from the different program buckets: resiliency, complete streets, and active transportation. Most of these are carryover projects. The East Mesa Roads project for Cortez Road is a total of $3.3 million. Upon design approval, it will receive $960,000 for resiliency and $1.1 million from complete streets. Madrid Avenue is also a carryover project. It is at a cost of $3.8 million, and it will receive about $1 million from active transportation. Melendres Avenue will be a newly funded project. We're receiving $1.9 million from complete streets. And South Main Street is also a carryover project that would receive $1 million from active transportation. All of these are based upon design approval. Now, the majority of these projects are carryover projects, and we will bring back the CIP for approval in the new fiscal year around July to reflect the change to funding amounts per design approval or the City Council approval of the earlier agenda. These are projects that were brought forward through either for funding through either Telshore Fund or gas tax. This slide represents projects that were proposed through City Manager's Office to be funded through those 2 funding sources. And today, the CIP, the CIP for from your packets is what you are voting on today, not the numbers that were shown, as those are estimates. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the council? No, look at that. Okay, we'll open it up to public comment. And we'll start on this side. Oh, actually, yeah, you know what? Come on down. It doesn't matter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Ashley Curry. I am the Safe Routes School Coordinator for the school district. I just wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you so much for all the hard work that everybody has done, in particular in the active transportation department. I know we have some really excellent background long-range plans, the Elevate Los Cruces, the active transportation plan, and I just am here to say, please follow the design process. I know that sometimes things get rushed along, as we even heard from public comment today, things that people weren't anticipating. So just, I know we have some really great plans in place, and I just want to see that they are implemented the way that the planners designed them, so that we can have safe streets for everybody. You may be aware we are #1 in the nation for pedestrian deaths. That's, I think, maybe 6 or more years running. It's a serious, serious issue. And it also, speaking of unhoused people, this is how people get along. I think there was a public comment much earlier about prioritizing active transportation, because it is the means by which our unhoused community gets around. We don't want more pedestrian deaths. We don't want more bicycle deaths and fatalities. So we can design streets. I'm sure many of you have traveled to other communities that they have very robust and beautiful biking and safe infrastructure. I think New York City may be, one of the prime examples, a place that people would have said we'll never be able to do it in New York City, and yet they've done it and made it one of the most bikeable communities in the nation. I think we can do that too for Las Cruces. So I'm just asking, please just follow the plans that we have within the CIP. I know we've prioritized certain projects. Let's just follow that prioritization so that we can have a beautiful and safe community for all of our residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Anyone else?
Let's try this again. Shauna Pfeiffer. I'm going to mostly do this for the people watching at home that don't have time to watch 3.5 hours of a budget work session. As part of the CIPs, the city is asking for $68 million total over the next 5 years for the airport. Amador Crossing is already receiving $7.3 million, including $6 million from the state. A master plan implementation at Community of Hope is receiving $2 million per year for the next 5 years. Paseos Verdes is receiving $2 million per year for the next 5 years. I challenge anybody to find that on a Google search. Spoiler alert, it's an apartment complex on Campos Street. City Hall. This City Hall that's relatively new is being expanded in FY25 for $7.5 million. Jardín de los Niños, which is for the children in our community, is only getting $600,000 total in the next 3 years. La Casa, which is a domestic violence shelter, is only getting $580,000, but that's coming from the state. No city funds are allocated for La Casa. Community of Hope has a new project called The Kitchens. It's $11 million in '25 and $2 million this year. Solar projects at Community of Hope total $1.4 million. Apodaca Park is getting an aquatic playground and multi-use path for $1.6 million per year for the next 5 years. A multi-use rec center is planned in '26 for $60 million. The Amador Hotel is receiving $16 million over the next 5 years for renovations. Security upgrades at City Hall will get an average of $250,000 per year for the next 5 years. The Brannigan Library will get $16 million in '26 for an expansion. The Municipal Court will be rehabilitated to the tune of $6.6 million per year for the next 5 years. Public safety, GO bonds. Total is in FY24 is $10.6 million. $9.3 was for the new fire station. In 25, they'll get 12.8 million. In 26, they only get 1.3 million. In 27, they'll get 15 million, but that is predominantly for a training facility and a fire station build, critical requirements. In FY28, 57 million in full will go to a new downtown public safety complex. 8.5 million for public transit as it specifically pertains to battery storage and inductive charging. Roadrunner Transit in 24 got 16.4 million for our municipal service center, and the wastewater treatment plant will be upgraded to the tune of 46 million. Also, 80K for City Hall furnishings in the next 6 years. I hope you guys like your sofas and your chairs.
Right, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public? Okay. Cynthia or Shoshana, did you have anything in response?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. This is Shoshana Basnet, City Innovation Strategy Administrator. Just wanted to make one point of clarification. So the future years are unfunded for the future 5 years in the CIP. As departments request projects, they are placed on the CIP, and while we are in the process of improving our current annual process of funding with prioritization, matching up to planning alignments and operational impacts, et cetera, that amount of review and evaluation has not been done for future requests and projects, and that would be the next step to tackle for CIP reform.
Mayor?
Okay, thank you. Councilor Matisse?
I'm just only hoping and wishing that the CIP program, 5 years, 10 years, actually reaches the vision that the mayor put forth during his campaign, that Las Cruces will become the safest city in America. I just hope all of this planning and all of these improvements actually do that for our city, and that the priorities continues to make it the safest city, and that the police department and the fire department get the priorities and not everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-122. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor McComo? Yes. Mayor?
Yes. Next, we have 7.5, Council Bill number 24-026, ordinance number 3068, an ordinance approving a zone change from urban ranch to single-family residential estate mobile for 2 properties.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
And to present is Adam Ochoa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Adam Ochoa, Community Development, for the record. In this following case is a proposed zone change for 2 properties located at 6820 and 6860 Shannon Drive. They are located on the south side of what is Shannon Drive, approximately about 140 feet west of the intersection of Shannon Drive and Dunn Drive. Each property encompasses roughly 1.15 acres, and they are both currently zoned UR, which stands for Urban Ranch. Reason you might not hear about this zoning designation anymore because it doesn't exist anymore. It's under our previous 1981 zoning code. This zoning is defunct, and it does require conversion to be brought into compliance with our current code. Showing the subject properties here, as you can see, it's calling out a different road, but it is Shannon Drive and Dunn Drive. This is out in the East Mesa of City Las Cruces. You see they're currently vacant or undeveloped. Before any type of development can occur on these properties, the zoning does need to be brought into compliance per our code. With that, the applicant is proposing a zone change to what is REM, which stands for Single Family Residential Estate Mobile. This zone change will bring the properties into compliance with our current 2001 zoning code. Not only that, but the REM zoning is almost identical to what the old UR zoning was, minus a couple of indiscretions when it comes to lot sizes and so forth like that. But this will allow for the development of the properties in the future for single-family homes. When staff did their analysis, we saw that there was no real issues with the proposed zone change. The new zoning is compatible with the surrounding area. There are a number of lots zoned REM and EE, which are rural large lots, in other words. It is located in the suburban place type. This type of zoning is encouraged in the suburban place type of the Las Cruces comprehensive plan, Elevate Las Cruces. And the area of large lots in this area, majority are zone REM, so definitely the zoning designation is not out of character for the area. Public notice was sent out to surrounding property owners. No public input was received by staff. And at the March 26th Planning and Zoning Commission, the P&Z did go in and vote to recommend approval for the proposed zone change by a vote of 4-0. 1 commissioner vacancy and 2 commissioners absent. Vote was based on findings. There was no public input there, and this actually was recommended for approval on the consent agenda. Showing here the findings, again, property be brought into compliance with the 2001 zoning code. The REM zoning district proposed zoning designation is consistent with the area. And of course, the proposed zone change request is supported by Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan and meets the purpose and intent of the 2001 zoning code. These are your options. 1 to vote yes and approve the proposed zone change. The zoning designation will change to REM. Vote no to deny. The existing defunct zoning will remain on the property. 3 to vote to amend. 4 table and postpone and direct staff and the applicant accordingly. The applicant's here if you have any questions for him, but I stand for questions.
Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Ochoa. So when did the notices to the surrounding residents, when were those sent to get their opinion or whatever on this?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Flores, there were actually 2 separate mailouts for this zone change. It happens 15 days before the public meeting itself, so they got it 15 days before the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and 15 days before this meeting as well.
And was the entire area, because I know that, I believe it's east of this particular lot, there's a community there of people who want to keep that area very rustic, and they have their horses and maybe cows and pigs. I don't know if they, but so that's the part that I think that they're east of Shannon, and this is west of Shannon, right? Excuse me, Dunn. So that's east. So Mr. Ochoa, do you know which area I'm talking about?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Flores, yes, I know exactly where that is called the East Mesa area. They actually have a blueprint in place, kind of like a neighborhood master plan, if you will, as to how they want to be developed or not developed in this case. This proposed zone change is still in keeping with what that policy says. It is zoned for large lot, single-family lots only, which allow for the keeping of animals as well on the properties. So it definitely fits within that master plan. And just to let you know, per the 2001 zoning code, we are required to provide letters to within 500 feet of the subject property at minimum, and as well as certified letters as well. So we did send out those letters, and it went out to everybody in the area.
And there wasn't one response to all of that? To any of that?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, no responses at all.
But you only gave 15 days notice. I mean, people get really busy anyway. But you say it's consistent with the rest of that area. But didn't you say that the owner wants to have a, what kind of housing is it going to be? Or what, did I understand?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, it's just for the development of the 2 lots in the future. All they could do is single-family homes on the property, and whatever ancillary uses, accessory structures, like I said, the keeping of large and small animals is permitted as well. So that's essentially what's going to happen.
But the housing would be houses that are actually built on the property, or would it be, what do you call it, mobile homes?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, the REM zoning district does allow for a multitude of homes, including site-built, freestanding homes, manufactured homes are allowed. They're actually seen the exact same by the state of New Mexico, manufactured home as a site-built home. Mobile homes are allowed as well, but just one per property as well.
So when you send out the notice, do you include all that information for the people to read the notices that are sent to the residents in the area? Is all that information included as to the type of housing that would be permitted?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, not all of that information is put out there, but we do put the highlight the bullet points, what the zoning is being requested, and we also have our contact information. This case was actually mine, so they have my direct contact information. It states here. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call or email. So they have various ways to contact us.
But if we vote yes today, it's moot. I mean, it's a done deal, right? No pun intended on Dunn Drive there.
Mayor,
But
Councilor
it's-
Flores, if somebody is affected, they can always appeal this to court.
Or they can appeal it. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Ochoa. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Any members of the public wishing to speak on this issue? Seeing none, go ahead, Christine.
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3068. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran is absent. Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next, we go to 7.6, Council Bill number 24-027, ordinance 3069, an ordinance approving a zone change from C2 commercial medium intensity to C3 commercial high intensity.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second.
And Adam Ochoa again.
Adam Ochoa for the record, Community Development for the record again. This is another proposed zone change, again, bringing a property into compliance with our current code. Subject property located at 1900 Baton Memorial East, located right on that south of what is Baton Memorial East, west of Delray Boulevard, north of what is Tell Shore, or North Rise, where it starts converting between those two. Y'all might know it as the old Kmart site up there off of Delray. Subject property encompasses 9.37 acres and is currently zoned C2 commercial medium intensity. Currently, there is a vacant commercial building there. It's been vacant for roughly since 2017, so it's been a while since it's been utilized. Showing the property here, as you get to there, you see the C2 zoning just south of Baton Memorial East, Delray. The dam over here, to get a little bit more reference of where we're this at. Movie theater to the southwest as well. There again is that vacant piece of property with the larger, what was the former Kmart, and the smaller, what was, I believe, the previous 99-cent store, which also went out of business several years ago. They are requesting a zone change to C3 commercial high intensity. This will essentially bring the property into compliance with the 2001 zoning code. With its current C2 zoning, there is a maximum lot size of 1 acre in size, so they require a zone change to C3 in order to make it legal, not to remove the nonconformity. And additionally, this proposed zone change will allow for the continued redevelopment of the property for a multi-tenant project. And staff, at their analysis, we did see no health, safety, or welfare issues associated with the proposed zone change. Zone change will allow the redevelopment of a long vacant commercial building and property. Additionally, the property is accessed and fronts not only a minor arterial roadway, but 2 principal arterial roadways where C3 zoning is encouraged and wanted, really. Notice was sent out again to the surrounding property owner. Staff did receive 1 public comment concerning the increase in traffic in the area, was what the comment was. This one before the Planning and Zoning Commission at the February 27th, 2024 P&Z Commission meeting. Planning and Zoning Commission did go ahead and vote to recommend approval for the proposed zone change by a vote of 6-0 with 1 commissioner vacancy. That vote was based on those findings. Again, The proposed zone change will bring the property into compliance. It is located adjacent to minor arterial and to principal arterials, where C3 is encouraged, and the proposed zone change meets the intent of Elevate Las Cruces and is compatible with adjacent uses, meets the purpose and intent of Section 38-2 of the 2001 zoning code as well. And here are your options again.
Thank you, Adam. Any discussion? Councilor Grant?
Thank you, Mayor. This is in one of my recently redistricted areas, so just delighted to see that what I think of as the other old Kmart is hopefully going to get new life. I also wanted to point out, since these details are always included in our packets, which are put together a great effort by staff and city clerk, so shout out, thank you. I did want to point out also that the same individual who had expressed the concerns about traffic, I believe at the P&Z, the minutes that I read, was also very happy. He's a local business owner, if I'm thinking of the right individual, and he said he was really happy to see that the vacant building is going to be reoccupied. And I believe also that those minutes clarified that a traffic study would be conducted before, right now we are just approving the zoning to allow potential development, but a traffic study would be conducted before actual development went on. Is that correct?
Mayor, Councilor Graham, I believe that's already underway because there is a project currently already, the first phase of a project currently being done for the buildings on the property. But that is something that our traffic engineering department did state that they needed some type of study done to assure that what existing entrances and exits that are existing on the property suffice for what the proposed uses will be.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Grant. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? Thank you. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3069. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Adam. Moving to board appointments. The first one I will read is Councilor Graham appoints Carol Garul to the Senior Programs Advisory Board. The next list, I'll need a motion and a second. The first one is Cecilia Vargas, the City Art Board, new appointment.
Move to approve.
Second by Flores.
This is on the motion to appoint Cecilia Vargas to the City Art Board. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. The next one is John McElroy.
Move to approve, Graham. Oh, sorry. I guess you have to say what it's for.
Utility Boards, new appointment. Thank you.
I'm still in, still. Move to approve.
Second.
This is on the motion to appoint John McElroy to the Utilities Board. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. The next one is Harry T. Johnson, Utility Board, new appointment.
Move to approve.
Second.
I'm sorry, it's a reappointment.
Move to approve.
Second. McClure, okay. This is on the motion to reappoint Harry Johnson to the Utilities Board. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. The next one is Ken Thurston, Planning and Zoning, new appointment.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second by Flores.
This is on the motion to appoint Kent Thurston to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. The next one is Brandon Robinson, Veterans Advisory Board, new appointment.
Move to approve.
Second.
This is on the motion to appoint Brandon Robinson to the Veterans Advisory Board. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran is absent. Counselor Flores? Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next, proposed ordinances. There are none. City Council member board reports and comments. I'll start with Councilor McClure.
I just want to briefly say to who remain, so thank you for being here. I'm not going to speak very much because I'm a little under the weather and my voice is a little croaky. But I really want to thank staff for their ability to strategize. And I think that's what we lose a lot of times, is that there's strategy behind how we are trying to do the budget. And I think everybody who is intimately aware of that is aware of it. And if people want more information, I think everybody on this dais is happy to engage in those conversations. And I, like Mayor Pro Tem, feel a responsibility when I get emails to hear, do something. This is something. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Matisse.
No, I agree. I'm glad that it was done, and I like to see shovel-ready and projects completed as quick as possible. I like to see the water fountain get fixed in Buena Vista Park.
Councilor Graham.
Oh, just 2 items. I'm going to speak for Councilor McClure because of her voice. I'm sure you enjoyed the Lift Up Las Cruces block party as much as I did. Mayor Akani, if I'm missing anyone else on the dais who attended, and just incredible city team, city staff. Sometimes I think we get lost in the negative, the challenges that Las Cruces is facing, and that is completely valid. But I also want to be here to point out the amazing things that we're doing every day. And the Lift Up Block Party was just an amazing multi-generational event. People who had lived on the city or on the street on Esperanza since the mid-1940s, right up to people who were getting to know new neighbors. So just absolutely great event. Really appreciate it. And then I like to speak a little bit about, we're doing these budgets and we're looking at dollar amounts, and I am so grateful for this continued support of the PAL boxing program. Shout out again to Mayor and Ikani. Yeah, we teach boxing, we teach fighting, but this weekend we gathered at the gym to celebrate a whole different kind of win, as we had 5 of our fighters graduating, 4 from high school, 1 from NMSU. And to see them, they were in their caps and gowns and gloves for photos. And I think these are the investments. When I look at $150,000 to PAL, that is so important. We're buying heavy bags, we are investing in our facility, but we are also investing in empowering our young people to succeed in the ring and out of the ring. So Eli, T, Alvaro, Reyes, and Anthony, I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Graham. Councilor Flores.
Pass.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a couple of shout outs. I know that I got to thank the light team last week when they were here for a work session, but just wanted to thank them again. I'm hoarse too. What is happening with our voices? Wow. Sounds like I have a frog in my throat. I got to thank them last week, but I wanted to reiterate just my gratitude for the fire department to allowing me to hang out with Allison and Mike and DC Hiles and Paul Ford for a whole afternoon. I learned so much and just feel so deeply grateful for their work. I wanted to congratulate officially Judge DeRosset, who was sworn in this morning. I'm sorry that you scheduled it for 7:30. That was never going to be something that I came to, unfortunately. If you know me, I am not a morning person. But I was here in spirit, certainly, because I'm very excited about...
I could feel your spirit.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this new judge and this new really fierce team that we have at municipal court. So I'm really excited about that. I did want to just make a request officially for cooling stations. I think this weekend was pretty warm outside, and just, you know, for us to start thinking about that. And then I wanted to thank, so I happened to be the MC this weekend at the Friends of the Organ Mountains hosted Public Lands Prom, celebrating 10 years of protected public lands international monument. And I think that's just such a huge accomplishment for our community. I don't know if you all remember, but it was really surreal getting to hear President Obama talk about Las Cruces when they designated the monument. And that was really a special moment for me as someone who was sort of new to politics. And here we are 10 years later celebrating protected public lands, international monument, and everything that has done for our beautiful city. Which it's so funny, Chief Story sent an unfortunate article about Forbes naming New Mexico a dangerous state, but Forbes also named Las Cruces a top 10 city to retire. So, you know, balance, I guess. But it is, I think, in large part because of the national monument. And the Friends of the Organ Mountains got to thank the fire department tactical rescue team and the other 3 rescue teams in Doñana County for their service in the last 10 years because of as Chief Smith said during the budget retreat, because of the national monument designation. We have a lot of tourists who come and who underestimate the desert and have often gotten stuck up in, you couldn't pay me to go to the Needles, quite frankly, but lots of people do. And sometimes they need rescues, and so we awarded, the Friends of the Organ Mountains awarded the rescue teams their public lands champion designation, and I was very happy to be there, and of course to have Ikani and Sonia receive that. And by the way, Sonia's got some moves. I saw her dancing, and I was very happy about that. So I just wanted to say that, and I think just lastly, I'm grateful for the support today for the SOS Corps and for the expansion of Mano y Mano. I think this is really for our community, but for our staff. I think often we think about safety in terms of very narrow terms, in terms of just fire and just police, but it's deeply unfair to put that burden on the fire department or the police department alone. Safety is all-encompassing. And I think it's sometimes really easy for us to just go towards the carceral system and invest there. But it's important to also invest in evidence-based models that put people at the center. Because safety truly does take all departments at the city. I mean, I think I look at our neighbors down south in Santa Teresa and Sunland Park, and they're having this massive tragedy with their water, unsafe drinking water. Like, how unsafe is that? And it takes money and it takes investment to ensure that we have a good team, to make sure that we have good, safe drinking water, that we have safe roads, that we have safe buildings, that we have good, clean parks. Safety is all-encompassing when we think about our community. And even though I was a little taken aback by one item not being included, I do just want to express my sincerest gratitude to staff for the months and months of work that you all put into passing a budget, which I have always said, budgets are moral documents, and they should reflect our values as a city. And I think this year we passed a bold budget that is reflective of our challenges and the people we love most. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to add, the first thing was the public comments. One of the questions was asked about the public safety select committee. I don't know, I had a hard time hearing the individual. It sounded like he said a secret committee, but it's a select committee, and definitely have to have the city attorney answer to that individual and answer to the rest of the select committees that we have publicly, so it's well informed. The other thing was I did attend the Lift Up Block Party. It was great, and kudos to the staff and to everyone for putting that together. It was a great event. The only comment I got from locals in the area that we should have called it the Chiva Town Party. You know, that was old Chiva Town in that area. But overall, it was a great event. And just like the work, I also want to recognize and say thank you to all the staff for the work they put in, not only to the lift up, but to the budget as well, and everything they do. I think Public Works Director David Cedillo said it best when he spoke, and he said everybody works with that cariño, and that's the motto. It's adelante con cariño, and we see it whether it's in budget or whether it's at a lift up or day-to-day operation. So thank you to staff. And also, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, the tourism and everything else that goes on, I was also asked to welcome the Lions Club State Conference this weekend. So we are having individuals come to attend state conferences and get-togethers, from engineers to pecan growers to the Lions Club, the Rotary. They're all hosting these events here in Las Cruces because it is a nice place to visit and to come, and that's what we're working at. That's the public safety that we want to invest in, and that's a lot of what we're trying to do, is to invest in our parks and the MRAs with El Paseo and Solano. These are all the things that we're doing so that we can make Las Cruces better looking and to thrive. And so that's a big part of what we're doing. So again, thank you for all the work that everybody's doing. And I'll turn that over to the city manager now. Yes, Councilor Flores, this is.
You know, I'm sitting here looking at all these wonderful people who work so hard, and I just want to thank you all, our staff. I'm looking at Barbara especially, and Leanne, who always confuse me even more by knowing so much. But I just want to thank everybody on staff and my colleagues on the council. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Councilor. That's in golf, that's a mulligan. You got to pay for those. So we got to put that in the kitty once you pass. I'm kidding. City Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, City Council, Icani Tamupiao, City Manager. This may take a few minutes, but there's a lot of kudos to share, which is a great thing. So hopefully you have some patience with me. First, economic development. Our economic development director, you may have heard, Elizabeth Teeter, was highlighted in the Albuquerque Business First for being a Mexican to know. So she was highlighted with, and you should read it before it goes. It's selling quick. So there's that article. If you Google her, she's big news. So feel free to. Regarding housing, I know everyone's been giving great updates. This is one from Natalie, and I have to read it or she'll pop my tires. This past Saturday, the Lift Up Block Party for the Valley View Park neighborhood was held Saturday. We would like to thank all the departments and nonprofits who participated. Special thanks to Isaac Holguin with Housing for leading the Lift Up efforts. Casa de Peregrinos and Roadrunner Food Bank teamed up to distribute 15,965 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables, including watermelon, honeydews, apples, potatoes, tomatoes, and squash. 306 families were served at the Lift Up event. Amador Health conducted over 100 glucose and health checks and distributed 988 information packets. The staff cooked 240 hot dogs, and Kona Ice distributed 440 cups of Kona Ice. In addition, the Lift Up Las Cruces has been selected as a finalist for the Neighborhood USA Best Neighborhood Program of the Year Award. Isaac Holguin, Katrina Godinez, and Grace Tellez will be representing the city in Lubbock, Texas. Isaac Holguin, Housing Development Coordinator, will present the Lift Up initiatives to the judges this Friday morning. So more to come. Quality of Life. Quality of Life Museum team is being interviewed this week by an Albuquerque radio station, KCOB. And want to give kudos to our fire department. This past Saturday, Friends of Organ Mountain Desert Peaks presented our Las Cruces Fire Technical Rescue Team received the Public Lands Champion Award, again by the Friends of Organ Mountain Desert Peaks. They also presented an award to Visit Las Cruces called the Public Lands Champion Award for their tireless work and advocacy on behalf of our public lands and community. From Parks and Rec, outdoor pools, just FYI, outdoor pools and splash pads open this Saturday, May 25th. Outdoor pools are open from noon to 6:30, and splash pads are open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Additionally, the 2024 Mayor and Jazz Fest concert is scheduled for Sunday, May 26th, 6 p.m. at Plaza de las Cruces. Headliner will be Wayne Bergeron, trumpet player, is the headline artist. And apparently, this individual has a list of recording credits that includes music played with Ray Charles to Green Day, Katy Perry, Beyonce, Barbra Streisand, Michael Bublé, and Indina Menzel. So we have someone coming to town. Should check out. I heard Beyonce there, Councilor Flores. All right, this Thursday, just wrapping up, I apologize. Baile Las Cruces is hosted by Visit Las Cruces. That'll happen this Thursday. Just FYI, for those who don't know, these are free dance lessons. They'll teach. We'll have a teacher who will come and share different genres of dancing, and it's all free. So 7 to 8:30, come and share your time with the community, with your family and friends. And last but not least, I'd be remiss if I didn't share kudos along with Councilor Flores, echoing with all of you who've expressed appreciation to our staff. I would be remiss if I did not thank our budget staff, Jacqueline, Leanne, Josie, and all budget team. Human resources, especially Joe, JC, and the HR team working through personnel-related costs and projections. All department heads and their staff that went through several exercises to help balance the budget by reducing their critical budget requests. Thank you to Barbara Bencomo and Sonia Delgado for your guidance and support through this budget process. As you know, it's not easy. We started this budget process with a different city manager, and to go through transition, I appreciate the budget team and staff having their patience with me. We appreciate you, council, as going internal, and so we hope that it was a seamless transition internally. But again, I think the patience of staff doing a great job. So echoing everything that you shared from the dais. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Tamo Payao. And look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second by Flores.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.